Hi, I'm Caleb Hester, and I'll be reading Bat in the Waiting Game by Elena K. Arnold. This is chapter 15, titled Thor's Garden. Carrots, corn, and kale, Bat told Mom on the drive home from school. Carrots, corn, and kale, Bat told Janie when she got home, interrupting the song she was singing. Carrots, corn, and kale, Bat whispered to Thor as he fed him his afternoon bottle, cradling his squirming, eager black and white body. Thor was getting strong, Bat noticed. He filled Bat's hands now, and his snuffling snout pushed into Bat's palm as he searched for the bottle. I think your little friend is getting ready for solid food, Mom said. She was in the kitchen with Bat, drinking a cup of tea and watching him feed the kid. Carrots, corn, and kale, Bat said again. Yes, said Mom, those sound like great choices for a skunk garden. But in the meantime, let's try something a little easier to digest. She set down her tea and took a slice of bread from the loaf by the toaster. She pulled away the crust and cut just the softest center of the slice into little cubes. Then she dipped some formula onto the plate of the bread cubes and waited until it soaked until the bread was soft. Then she set the plate on the floor and said, "Let's see what he thinks." Bat sat on the floor and made a V with his legs around the plate of bread. Gently, he set Thor down. At first, the little kid stumbled as he got his legs underneath him. But his tiny nose went up like he smelled the food, and he wove his way over to the plate, his tail bushy behind him. When he got to the plate of bread, he sniffed around for a while. Bat didn't know if he would eat it. Maybe he doesn't like bread, he said to Mom. Give him a minute, Mom said. She had sat down on the floor, too, right next to Bat, and they watched together as Thor climbed up onto the plate with his front legs and dipped his mouth down toward the food. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Then his tongue emerged and touched the bread. Then he licked it. Then he got even closer, opened his mouth, and took a bite. He's eating, Bat said. He sure is, Mom said. Thor chomped down half the plate of formula-soaked bread, and then he turned away from it. Bat scooped him up, wiped his face clean with a napkin that Mom handed him. They grow up so fast, don't they, Bat? Mom said. Bat nodded. He was proud of Thor, but he knew what it meant that Thor was learning to eat on his own. It meant that he was one step closer to the wild, one step closer to not eating Bat anymore. I kind of wish he still needed to be bottle-fed, Bat said. Babies can't stay babies forever, Mom said. She stroked Bat's hair as he stroked Thor. Thursday afternoon, Bat and Tom and Israel took the big black truck to the nursery to get supplies for the skunk garden. Bat and Israel had written up a list of supplies, and Mom had checked it the night before. She'd crossed off shovel and hoe because she said they'd already had those things in the shed. That still left carrot seeds, corn seeds, kale seeds, and fertilizer. Not a very exciting list. When they'd found everything they needed, Tom drove them all back to Bat's house so they could get to work. Bat had never been at his house without another member of his family being there, and he wished suddenly that Janie were home. Not because he wanted her to make him a sandwich, not because he needed anything from her, just because it would have been nice to have her there. He found the key just where my mom had promised to leave it, under the second biggest potted plant on the front porch, because the biggest one was way too heavy to move. And he used it to open the front door. Then, standing in the hallway with Tom and Israel, Bat felt suddenly shy. But Israel raced straight through to the kitchen, down to the steps, and into the backyard. Come on, Bat, let's garden. Half an hour later, the garden box was planted. Tom had found a couple of pieces of wood and some old paint in the shed. And when Bat and Israel were done smoothing over the dirt, he said, "What do you guys think of this?" It was a signpost that read, "Thor's Garden." "It's perfect," said Bat. Tom hammered the sign into the dirt, and they all stood together admiring it. Now they just had to wait for the plants to grow.